I'm a Gen Z.
And I'm a millennial.
And we are having a hard time. Buying a house, it feels impossible these days.
Our parents could save up and buy a home. But for us, the prices are crazy and it's way harder to get one.
So what are people doing? Tiny houses, mobile homes, prefab houses, container homes.
Or something completely different. Why the dream of owning a house is changing for people like us. Let's talk about the reasons why our generation is struggling to afford a home.
One of the reasons is rising housing costs. Housing prices have skyrocketed in the past decade compared to the wages. For example, in many countries, the house prices have increased with 30 to even 50% in the past 10 years, while wages have stagnated. So what do you think about this?
I think what my parents were able to afford at my age, now you need 3 or 4 times that amount. For example, if my parent needed to say, let's exaggerate a bit, 100 salaries, I will need 400 salaries to buy the same property, as an example. The main reason I think is the inflation. The wages are not growing the same pace as the prices are.
Yeah, I think this is what everybody is struggling with these days, especially the younger generation. For example, I'm 26, Raul is 35. We are definitely at that stage when we're looking at, where our life is going and getting a house, and we're struggling.
Yeah, it's a big struggle. It's a big struggle all over the world.
And now with this economic crisis, we have to become, more open-minded and try to find other solutions. I think worth to mention is also the government policies, the houses shortage. This is another thing that has a big impact in the rising prices in houses. For example, we lived next to London. I remember even for renting, it's a fight over a house. Like, so many people want the same house, and this only makes it harder for everyone to get it. This makes the prices go higher. I remember every month when I was looking to find a rent, the prices for the same properties were more and more expensive. Every single month you could see a difference. And I think this is crazy.
Yeah, in a more developed city, it's harder to find a house to buy at a normal price because the demand is so high. Then the people that are selling these houses, or the companies that are selling these houses, can afford to put a higher price because they will find a buyer. Also, if you want to build a house, there are much more regulation now that it used to be 30, 40 years ago. Even here in Greece, we're struggling with that. Do a bit of research, and now you will need a lot of paperwork, a lot of money, all the legal stuff to be okay.
When you're looking at buying properties or land, the ones that fall in the category that makes it easier for you to build are definitely more expensive. So that's why we are in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, and I think in the old days, you can just build not wherever you want.
There weren't so many rules, let's say.
It was much easier, much cheaper.
Yeah, I think this makes also, for the people that can afford it, for the investors, it makes it easier for them to just buy everything and rent and make a profit, turn it into an Airbnb, or just keep it for a while, rent it, and then sell it for a profit. So this makes people like us, or just the normal average people, it makes it harder for them to actually put your hands on a house,
Yeah, to buy one.
Yeah.
And for the rich people to buy more and sell them on a higher price or do other stuff with them.
Basically makes poor people poorer
and rich people richer.
richer.
Also, I think it's much harder to put money aside to
save.
Yeah, to save, because like in the old days, it was much easier. Obviously, the prices were low.
The cost of living in general, being lower, you could save up a bit more.
And you did not have that many needs like you have now, because now you have a car, you have internet, you have all the utilities. Back in the old days, it was much easier.
It was different, for sure. Yeah, now that you have the option to buy more, to buy, newer models of cars, to buy new things, the technology is incredible. Now you can buy so many things that didn't even exist back in the days. Yeah, it makes us feel like we need more things, and it makes you feel the need to buy more things and to own more things.
It's harder to save.
Yeah, it's harder to save, for sure. And let's think about the people, for example, my age, they have student loans, people that just finish, university.
My
and now
age
they
as
are-
well.
Yeah, your age as well.
So money.
Debts are so high that you end up paying them for so many years. For example, in the States, I know is the case, and also in the UK,
Yeah, in
we
UK
saw this.
is
Yeah.
as well. If you want to go to a higher education like medicine, you will pay for a lot of years for this.
It gives you a lot to think about. These debts that you start your life with, they are definitely going to have an impact when it comes to owning a house later on.
Yeah, also mortgage.
Let's just keep it short. I think it becomes more and more difficult for people to get a mortgage. This is one thing on one hand. On the other hand, for me personally, to think about that all my life I will have this debt for 30 or 40 years, to have a debt for 40 years, it's crazy just to have where to live. It's insane. I don't know. It's just insane.
It is, but many people are choosing this path because it's some of the only paths left.
I think the mentality here is, I think even in our culture, it's the same. It's better to own than to rent because monthly you basically spend the same amount, let's say. At the end of those 40 years, at least you will have a house that you own and you can pass it to your children. I think this is the main thing that people are thinking about. I disagree because things changed. It's not the same anymore. It's not so profitable anymore. I think back in the days, like let's say even 10 years ago, this is how a lot of people got wealthy in the UK. They were buying a house, they were getting a mortgage, and then when they were renting the same property for more money. So at the end of the month, the mortgage is paid, and you also have a little bit of profit that they could save and buy another house.
Like a passive income.
Yeah, so basically they have houses that pay themselves, and obviously by the end of their lives, their children are set.
Yeah.
So this is something that in our times now, it's not really possible.
It's becoming much and much harder to do this.
I think another reason why people our age are not owning a house or they struggle to own a house is the shift in their mentality.
In the mindset.
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, I see things completely different than what I used to some years ago and what my parents are seeing them. For me, my priorities are not to own a house. My priority is to have freedom. I would rather live in a smaller, cheaper place and just have free time than to have a very good career, make a lot of money, but all this money goes into all my expenses. So at the end of the day, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't have a life. So this is my mentality right now. The most precious thing for me is my time and my freedom. My first goal is to try to make a life, to make a living. Obviously, don't miss out on the things I love and I enjoy to do, to be able to afford, to eat, to eat out every now and then, to have some experiences. But I would rather give up on things. I would give up on having an expensive car. I would give up on living in a fancy apartment. I would give up on buying expensive clothes. So my priorities have changed. I would rather travel. I would rather see the world. I would rather do other things than to just work from day to night just to pay the mortgage and just to survive. I don't want to survive, I want to live.
Yeah, most people from the new generation, they want to have more experiences than sit in one place. So that's why they will travel more, they will go in different adventure in the world. This will have a big impact in home ownership. Like back in the days, everyone wanted to own a house, but now everyone wants to travel and have these experiences.
Not everyone,
no.
But I think people start to become more open-minded to this idea and just to explore more options. I think we don't see things in black and white anymore. I think we are kind of trying to experience different things, to explore different options. I think this is why there is a high rise in the digital nomads. There are plenty of them here in Greece. I can see, the groups growing and growing, and I think the pandemic helped a bit here. It gave a lot of people the opportunity to work from home. And home now doesn't mean that you actually have to be in a house in the city you used to live in.
In the same country?
You can be in a different country
where the things are cheaper.
Exactly. I think now you have the possibility to live in a country where cost of living is cheaper, but still have the same wage as, for example, you would get in the UK. So I know there are people from the UK, living here in Greece because it's more affordable. They are enjoying life here. Obviously, you have the sea, you have the sun, you have everything, but you have the same wage as in the UK. I know it's not possible for everyone, and the world is still adapting to this, but it's definitely something that didn't even exist years ago.
No.
So I think this is a big shift, and this will change everything for many people.
Yeah, these digital nomads will give you other opportunities in buying a home abroad or not owning one.
I think this traveling and seeing the world and being able to work remotely, it makes you see things differently in time. It changes your values. I mean, once you travel the world, once you've seen so many places, it's so hard to come back to the same mentality you had before you experienced all that. Things are changing for sure these days, and there are many things that have an impact.
Okay, Amalia, what alternative housing solution people are choosing now?
When we talk about tiny homes, container houses, prefabricated homes, all of these homesteads, all of these housing solutions, let's say, that are an alternative to the normal traditional house, they came out of a need. The people need a place of their own. The people, they need somewhere to live. There are so many in the situation that they can't afford it. Our generation, it is for sure struggling, but I think even the people that retire, I saw this concept of people that retire, sell their homes, just downsize in general and move in either a smaller apartment or something, or buying even a tiny homes on wheels, because it's more affordable, it's more convenient, the maintenance is cheaper. Yeah, you can have some money in case you need it for healthcare, or you can put your money into travel, and it's definitely a change of values there as well.
Yeah, it's cheaper. You will look at what can you afford and what you can't. You will cut the cost as much as you can, but to still live comfortable.
Yeah.
And that will get you to this solution, let's say, because to buy a prefabricated house is not the same as owning a normal house, but it gets the job. And for people who doesn't want much and can't afford a lot, it's good. It's still a good solution. Even, the mobile house, if you don't have a land, you can maybe buy one that is not buildable and put a mobile house there. Also, other solutions.
I think overall it's more affordable for sure, and I think this is where the concept of minimalism comes from as well, because we see a big growth in this concept as well. We see it everywhere on social media. We see people shifting to this minimalism situation, and I think we kind of fall into that category as well.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, how we think about this is this way. We have the option to have a well-paid job, the life we had in the UK, for example. A job, we were self-employed, I was making enough money to live in a 2-bedroom house, in a big city, having everything around me, great roads, great connections, opportunity for growing, economically developed city. So, it's like the dream life for someone. At the end of the day, I didn't have much time left. I wasn't enjoying the place where I wasn't enjoying the climate, I wasn't enjoying, the outdoors in general. I didn't have that many options as I have here. I was in a culture I wasn't feeling like I fit in properly. There were a lot of advantages and disadvantages. On the other hand though, with the minimalist life, let's say, like giving up on all that stuff, now we live in a small apartment in Greece. It's tiny, it's just for us. We don't have a lot of fancy furniture, we don't have a lot of fancy appliances, we own a cheap car that we bought from Romania and drove all the way here. Our life looked completely different. But at the end of the day, I have so much free time. I have time to do what I love to do, to be creative, to have a YouTube channel, to explore other income opportunities, to be more creative. I don't have the burden that at the end of the month I need to have this amount of money to pay my rent and all my expenses. So I don't have room to try other things, to explore the things I love, because I have responsibilities and these won't let me try out different things that I want to try. So now I think this suits us better because we can live more, be happier, enjoy the things we love, just by giving up on some things that probably the society thinks you need, but we realize we don't actually need.
Yeah, this is mainly for us, might be for new generation as well. But I just want to give some examples like the prices have skyrocketed. Because my parents, I remember they bought a house with, let's say, 30,000 euro. And at the end of the month, they could put aside 200 euros. But now the same house, it's 100, so 3 times more. But you still can put aside the same money.
200.
Yeah, if you can. So
And this is like 40 years later.
the same in England with our landlord.
Yeah,
He
was
told
telling
us he bought a house for 60,000 pounds. And now that house, 40 or 30 years later, it's valued at 500,000 or more.
Yeah, more,
I think it's more. Yeah, the wages didn't go up, maybe doubled.
They did go up, but not 10 times up.
Yeah, didn't
So
go.
you can see a huge difference there for sure.
Didn't go up at the same rate.
Yeah, exactly. Thinking about the future, things will look completely different for our generation at least. I think people will become to be more creative, more kind of housing solution will come up because there is a need for them, because we simply can't afford and we simply can't, we don't have the luxury of just living the way people used to live. We have to find another way. We have to find something that fits us. I know there are people that, have different opinions, so they're all welcome in the comments. If you have an opinion on this, if you think we're wrong in some ways or right in others.
Yeah, what do you think our generation
know,
should do now so we can afford to buy a house?
What options do we have, or how do you live? How do you find yourself in this? It doesn't matter how old you are, you're definitely dealing with the same issues. Maybe you have a house, but still, cost of living is an issue for everyone, everywhere, all over the world. I know that people kind of think that this happens only in their country. We saw this everywhere, but it's everywhere. It's all over the world. So everybody's complaining.
Greek people, trust us, it's everywhere. It's in UK, in US, in Romania, it's everywhere. So like you have the option to work all day and save money to buy a house. You have the option to get a loan, a mortgage, and work all day to pay the loan. Or you get the option to find other solution, to be a minimalist, or maybe to downsize as much as possible. I think there are people that are going to extreme, living in a tent, or doing, if you know that one, they are building house from earth.
Yeah, there are some extreme measures, I would say, but this only comes from the need people have. And for finding, you have to live somewhere. I know that there are people living in a car. I know that there are people living in vans, people living in tents, as you say. So I think these, in my opinion, are a bit extreme, but they also come as a solution. They come as a, for some people, it's the only way that they can do it. It's just, they prefer to do this rather than being stuck in just not keeping up with their expenses.
What do you think should be the solution for this? What do you think, guys, should be the solution for this? How can we solve this situation?
Yeah, if I think about the average people, what would be the best case scenario for them to have a house and live a life? Downsizing,
move to a village.
It's, moving to the countryside. I think younger generations like us, they kind of starting to populate the countryside again. And this is because we simply can't afford to live in the city anymore.
Yeah.
And now with these remote jobs, you get the opportunity to work from home, so you don't have to spend up the time, in commuting. So I think this is a great solution, just moving somewhere where it's cheaper, where it's more affordable, and maybe you can get a house.
Or buy a land and put a prefabricated house, which is faster and cheaper. And we have a video too about that.
I think these are the options we have nowadays. And I think more and more options like this will come up.
Yeah, I think will come up a lot more.
Yeah. And only because it's cheaper, it doesn't mean it's not a house. I saw a lot of comments, people saying this is not a proper house, but guess what? For some people, it is the only house they have. It's the only solution, and I think they are starting to do a great job with them. They become more and more viable and, just overall better in general because the years go by and they gain more experience and people come up with even crazier ideas and more inventive. And I think there will be solutions.
Yeah, there will be. There will be cheaper solutions, faster solutions. And this was our video. Thank you. Bye.